You're listening to the Coloring Book Creator Podcast, episode 55. And in this episode, I ask the question, is your book cover helping or killing your sales? So stay tuned. There's a saying that I'm sure many of you have heard that you can't judge a book by its cover. That is unless your ideal customer is trying to find yours on a behemoth platform like Amazon, where there's a bazillion competing products all vying for your attention. Now, before anyone can add your book to cart, you've got to get the click, and your cover has got to stop the scroll. Now, this is such a meaty topic. I decided to invite Coloring Book Creator Society member LaKeshia D Walton, who's a designer, owner, and creative behind The Art of Melanin. She's also the author of Blooms of Hope, her new planner and journal that I worked with her to help her get published. I asked her to come and speak with me about book covers. We reviewed several book covers, what made them work, and what we felt could be improved upon. This podcast episode you're listening to now is a condensed, very sort of introduction. It's not even a condensed version. It's an introduction to that interview. So I'm going to put the link inside of the show notes here to go watch it on YouTube, because we're pulling up the screen on Amazon. We're pulling up books. We're discussing the covers and what can be done to improve them. So this is a very visual episode. So again, I'm going to give you a sort of a brief overview here of what we talked about, and then I'm going to direct you to go over to YouTube so you can actually see what we're talking about. So again, this is a condensed version of that little mini class that we did. Now, again, I want to emphasize why book covers and why we're talking about this. As I said a moment ago, book covers, especially on a platform like an Amazon, is your first way to capture attention. Imagine your potential customer going into Amazon, going into the search bar and typing in the subject matter of what your book is about. And your cover, your book, coming up as one of the options. Assuming that the person that sees the search results knows nothing about you, meaning you didn't direct them there. They know nothing about you. The only thing that you really have to go on, or they have to go on, is the strength of the cover. Obviously, the subject matter, the title, is also got to also help close the deal, so to speak. But the first method of connection is going to be the visuals, and that's why the cover is so important. Once they see a cover that appeals to them, then you get the click, and then there's more real estate in order to be able to dive in deeper into what your book is about, assuming that you've set your listing up properly, where you have a compelling title, you have a compelling description that describes what the book is about. The artwork has also captured their attention and keeps pulling them into the experience of your listing. And then there's many more other things that us as author creators can do to continue to deepen that relationship, because the goal is that we want them to add our books to cart. But again, the cover art has to stop the scroll. It has to get them interested enough to click to learn more. And you can't get that if your cover is not working for you. So tying back to the title of this episode, is your book cover helping or potentially killing your sales? All right. Now, what I'm going to do really briefly is I'm going to go over just a few highlights of what we discussed in the YouTube video that I have linked here in the show notes. First of all, when you are beginning to even research the idea for a book, the first suggestion that I will give you is to go to Amazon, as I've just suggested, and type in the title of your book or the subject of your book that you're thinking about producing and see what comes up. And pay attention to what makes you stop the scroll, what's attracting your attention. And then I recommend that you start a swipe file. A swipe file is terminology used in the copywriting world, where someone who is writing sales copy for, let's say, business entrepreneur or something like that, that they will go out in search of copy, meaning written text, that is similar to the audience and message that they are trying to attract. They want to see how this similar product was sold. What languaging, what messaging, what audience, what demographic, all of that. And the copy that in this case, copywriter is looking at is giving them inspiration. Now, I want to be clear. I am not suggesting that you steal someone's intellectual property. I'm saying you're looking for inspiration. The same thing holds true with your artwork in this context, in this conversation, your book cover. So again, you research your competition by going into Amazon and or Pinterest and Google. This is something that I also recommend in my free audio course, Validate Your Book Idea Before You Make It. I'll put the link in the show notes to be able to access that. But you want to go there first, because if your book is going to be sold on Amazon, that's going to be your future competition. Now is the perfect time to see what's already happening there so that you can familiarize yourself. Once you find titles, artwork that captures your attention, you can do a screenshot. So if you're on your desktop, you can do a screenshot, or you can do a screenshot on your phone. That's a way to do it. Or you can just hold your camera up to your computer and take a photograph that way. However you do it doesn't matter. The point is that you start a swipe file of different covers that capture your attention, and then ask yourself, why did it capture your attention? What did you like about it? And perhaps what did you not like about it? Now, another option, Pinterest, if you use Pinterest, you already know this. If you're not using Pinterest, it'll take you a little bit of time because you have to set up an account. You can create a board that allows you to then save other people's pins that, I would say in this context, pertain to the concept behind your book. So it doesn't have to be actual other people's book covers. It can just be the concept behind the book. I'll use an example here. Let's say that you are doing a planner journal for women in particular who are looking to use your book to relax, to reflect, to center themselves, to journal about their thoughts, their feelings. They want a place to record that information. So what you can do on your Pinterest search is you can start collecting images, for an example, of women in relaxing environments, maybe sitting at the beach, or maybe walking in the woods, or sitting by the pool, or inside of a spa, having a beautiful lunch, or getting a massage, doing yoga, or meditating, whatever. But start collecting those images, and you can find those just by typing in any of those search terms into Pinterest and see what comes up. And then you save those images and put them onto your board. Another option you can check out is a free service called Unsplash, where you can get stock photography. That's another really good option that a lot of people don't know about. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. And you can go and grab pictures there that you like and save them into your swipe folder. What I love about creating a mini collection of reference images is that it will not only serve as inspiration for yourself, but for, say, perhaps you decide to hire a cover designer, should you choose to consult one. And as I'm saying that out loud, I'll say that as you watch the video training or review that LaKeshia and I did, she actually is a book cover designer, and she offers a consult that you can have with her to discuss your idea behind your cover. Now, another reason, again, circling back to the swipe file, if you can show what you're thinking in your mind, visually what you want your cover to sort of look like, you can show those images either as a Pinterest board or as a folder on your hard drive, or say in Google Drive or something like that, so that it helps the designer get a real sense of the feeling, the audience, and the vibe for your book that you want to create. And or you can use it for your own reference if you're designing the cover yourself. What I like about having a variety of different reference points, you can look at how you can blend 1, 2, 3, or 4 or more to create something that's really unique and, more to the point, really well thought out. We want to take our time and design a book cover that is compelling. We don't want our book cover to be an afterthought. We want to lead what goes into the book as far as our internal pages based on the inspiration that we get from our cover. As a matter of fact, I'll take it a step further. One of the marketing strategies or pre-launch strategies that I always share with my coloring book creator mentor students is to have a variety of mock-ups of potential covers made very early on in the book production process, and create an interest post that you create on your social media, and you assign each cover idea either a number and or a letter, and you invite the readers of the post to vote in the comments which cover that they are most attracted to, and they can just respond with either the number of you assigned, let's say A, B through say D or E, or numbers 1 through say 5. And that's a way for you to be able to then take the temperature of where your cover is landing for people, which ones they're liking the most, and then which way to go in the service of improving it or iterating on it. This is another important word that LaKeshia and I spoke about quite a bit in our exploratory session, which again, you'll see on YouTube, is the name of the game is iterate. Iterate, iterate, iterate. You do a design, then you start taking things away, adding things. You look at font styles, color styles, balance between more scripted fonts with more simpler, plainer fonts. That's just one of the things that we talked about on that session. So again, I invite you to go over and check out the YouTube video, because again, you'll see visually what I'm talking about here in the audio. Now, with that said, before I send you over, I want you to take notes, have some time, because it's a couple of hours session that we have. So you might want to speed it up if you wish, but I really recommend that you not sleep on this, because again, as I start at the top of this podcast episode, our books are judged by our cover. And if we want to get the click, we've got to stop the scroll. And the cover is going to be the first line of defense in order for that to be able to happen. Alrighty. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to keep this a really short episode because I want you to go over there and catch that review session that LaKeshia and I had. I'm also going to put links in the show notes here about how you can book a session with her if you'd like to have a consult about your potential book cover. I'm also going to have a link here inside of the show notes to the Validate Your Book Idea Before You Make It free audio course, which I highly recommend you check out. Because again, whether you decide to do your cover yourself or you decide to hire someone like LaKeshia to do it for you, the more clarity you have, the better the result that you will get. I look forward to hearing your thoughts about the YouTube session, what you thought about that. Leave some comments for me there, and or leave me comments here on the podcast.